Welcome back, everybody. Well, Platfontein is a community located in an arid region of the Northern Cape province, about 15 kilometers outside the town of Kimberley. The community consists of two San tribes, the Xun and the Khwe. Well, the San of the Platfontein is a collective name used for both the Xun and Khwe. And let's now cross to my colleague, Sakina Kamwendo, who is there. Very good morning to you, Sakina. It's over to you.
And a very good morning to you, coming to you from the Northern Cape today here on Morning Live. And this is, of course, our pre-election debates as we've toured around the country. And this, of course, being the biggest of the provinces, that is land area-wise, but also the most sparsely populated. And as with the rest of the country, many socio-economic issues to deal with. And we're coming to you this morning from Platfontein, which is just outside the capital of the province, the capital city of the province of the Northern Cape, Kimberley, about 15 kilometers or so outside of town. And this is, of course, a community where the Xun and the Khwe have settled. And they have been, of course, a nomadic people, moved and settled several times from Smitsdrift. And then, of course, there was a land claim in that area. And they were finally settled here and given the title deed to this area by former President Nelson Mandela. And this is where we are coming to you from today. And as you would have seen in that earlier shot, just taking, an overview of this area, the one thing that hits you as you drive in here as that we are talking about poverty. Stares you naked in the eye, because you can see some of the RDP houses that have been built here have not even seen a lick of paint since they were built and handed over to the people who live here. And you can see sometimes where something has broken on some of the homes, the people have been unable to repair that. And when you think about some of the statistics that we are dealing with here, of course, unemployment would be one of those high up on the agenda, 25% as per the narrow definition. And if we look at the expanded definition, it is upwards of 38% in this particular province. Socioeconomic ills, they have those in abundance as well. So we're going to try and get into all of these issues with the panel that we have here this morning, as well as the community members who have come out to participate and also perhaps just hold accountable the elected representatives that are here today, and those, of course, who are still vying to get into that position of speaking on behalf of some of the people. The Indigenous people well represented here, and we'll hear from them as well what some of the issues are that they want addressed. So just running through our panel this morning, look at the parties represented. We have the African National Congress, there's the Democratic Alliance, Economic Freedom Fighters, then we have COPE, and as I'd indicated, we have some of the Indigenous parties as well. We have the Khoisan Revolution, then the Aboriginal Khoisan Party, Compatriots of South Africa, the PACs here, as well as the Freedom Front Plus and AZAPO. So those are the parties. As you can see, a big panel. We try to be as inclusive as we possibly can on each of these election debates. But I'm going to start off with the issue of poverty, because we don't have much time. We need to get straight into it. So the African National Congress, again, it's one of those, the triple threat that we've always heard about. It's poverty, it's inequality, and it's unemployment. And it is quite stark here in Platfontein and in the Northern Cape where we are today. So what's your assessment of what you have done up until this point, 25 years into democracy, to try and stem and in certain instances reverse this tide?
The African National Congress over the last 25 years has put in place programs to ensure that we move our people out of poverty. More and more of our people have got access to housing. The ANC holds a record of having given to the working class and the poor more than 4 million houses for free. No other government in the world has that record that we have. The working class and the poor have got access to free basic services, electricity and water. More and more of our people, of our children, have attended no-fee schools for the working class and the poor. Those of our people who live in abject poverty and squalor have a safety network through which there's provision of resources in the form of social grants. More than 50% of government's budget is spent on poor people in our province. And we continue to ensure that each child who's from a poor background receives a meal at school every day. All of these learners, so those are the programs that African National Congress has put in place to mitigate the impact of poverty on our people. And we plan to ensure that we take our people out of poverty through creating jobs and building an economy that is inclusive. Our president has moved to ensure that more than 100 billion is invested in our country. So we have a program in place to continue to change the lives of our people. And our people have seen the changes that the ANC have created. It has brought back dignity to the working class and the poor in our country.
What is the unemployment rate, Mr. Shushu, in this particular community?
In this community, the ANC has resettled a community, has built houses for this community.
But that's not what I'm
Most of
asking.
these-
I'm asking you about the unemployment rate in this community.
Excuse me?
I'm asking about the unemployment rate in this community.
Currently, there are programs in place that include the young people that are being skilled in this
You're
area.
not answering the question.
There's also job creation programs, EPW programs, through which we involve the Indigenous program of our communities in the area. And there's also an intention to continue to change the lives of our people in this area by providing them with job opportunities through the EPW programs, but also skills that can make sure that they are also brought on board in areas of mining, in areas of manufacturing. There are young people here who have been given training to start their own businesses from this area.
I hear all the programs that you are busy with, that you've embarked on. My question to you, though, is a simple one. What is the unemployment rate here in Platfontein, where we are?
The unemployment rate in Platfontein. I do not have the stats as we speak right now, but overall in the province, in the province, the ANC has ensured that the unemployment rate goes down from 27% to 25%.
So would it be fair to say you don't know what the unemployment rate is in this?
In terms of the percentage for Platfontein, when we look at the overall unemployment rate, it is concerning. That is why we are busy.
But you are telling me it's concerning,
programs.
but you don't even know what it is, Mr. Shushu. So
The overall
it's very difficult, because how are you going to address it if you don't know what exactly you are addressing? How are you going to address the problem when you don't know what the problem is? You don't know the magnitude. You don't know the extent of the problem. Because you don't know, evidently, Mr. Shushu, what the unemployment rate is here.
The unemployment rate of Platfontein is a reflection of the broader unemployment rate in the province.
Okay, let's not belabor the point. Let's not belabor the point. I've tried. I've given you sufficient time to try and get to that number. We're not getting there. But let's move on to the Democratic Alliance. I want to hear from you in terms of... The Democratic Alliance, as a party that has been in government in the Republic of South Africa, because government comprises all the parties that make up the various legislative bodies. So as a party that's been in government, looking at what is happening here, not just in Platfontein, but in the Northern Cape as a whole, and looking at the levels of unemployment, of poverty, of depravity in this province, what are your solutions? What have you done to try and assist the people in this province to make sure that we lift them up out of that poverty?
Well, first and foremost, what we've done in the Northern Cape as the official opposition is to hold government accountable and represent the unemployed poor people of the Northern Cape. And we've performed that function of holding government accountable exceptionally well, wherein we've exposed poverty levels in the Northern Cape province. We've also highlighted the levels of unemployment in the Northern Cape, not just unemployment, but also particularly unemployment amongst the youth in the Northern Cape.
All right.
This is...
I'm going to ask you, because At the risk of paying lip service to this, give me some statistics. What exactly are we talking about?
Well, for example, if you look at the expanded unemployment rate in the province, we're looking at approximately 40% expanded unemployment rate in the province. And if you also look at the report from what you called Azuna, it makes it very clear that the Northern Cape is a province where it is extremely difficult for a person to find a job. Let's make an example with Platfontein, where we are right now. Very high levels of unemployment in Platfontein. People do not work here. We have a serious problem of social ills such as alcohol abuse and so forth. So unemployment in this province is a very serious problem. I was personally unemployed as a professional for about 2 years. So I'm speaking from experience. I know how it is painful for a person, especially professionals, to be unemployed in this province. So I'm not speaking. So I'm speaking for experience. Unemployment is a serious problem in this province.
So unemployment is a serious problem in this province, but you said that you've been helping some of the people who are unemployed. How have you helped them?
Well, we've highlighted the plight in the opposition benches of unemployment in this province. We've highlighted it. I mean, as a spokesperson of economic development for the DA in this province, I've highlighted unemployment in this province. I've also highlighted the plight of small businesses in this province. I mean, there's also evidence, for example, you would know there's evidence from Stats SA, poverty trends in South Africa, that Northern Cape, particularly a region called JTG, it's one of the poorest region in the province, where people in JTG, in areas like Maidibeng, Eiffel Castle, go to bed hungry. So Northern Cape is a forgotten province, and it's a province that has been run down by the ANC. However, Sakina, I must mention to you that the Northern Cape has potential, and as a Democratic Alliance, we have a plan to bring change to the Northern Cape, because this province is crying out for change. And if there's one province that is crying out for change in this country, it is the Northern Cape province.
So before I move on, you say, and you said earlier that one of the things that you've done as the Democratic Alliance was to hold the ANC accountable. So if they manage to run the province into the ground, does that mean that you've not been very effective in holding them accountable?
Sakina, one needs to understand the disadvantage of being in opposition benches. You know, you can only do to a certain extent to help highlight the plight of the people. But if you are not in government, it is extremely difficult really to bring change. But the only way in which we can bring change as a Democratic Alliance is to say to the people of South Africa, particularly the people of the Northern Cape, that this is a chance for you to vote the ANC out on the 8th of May 2019.
All right, let's move on to the EFF. What is your solution to some of the problems here? EFF?
Yeah, as the EFF, we've been observing in the past 25 years regarding the issue of unemployment, especially in the Northern Cape. As far as the Northern Cape is so rich with minerals, it has so many mining operations. And then we are still experiencing the high rate of unemployment, particularly on youth, of which they are not given a chance to show their skills and also given a chance to be absorbed by the job market. This is due to how the administration of the ruling party is applying, and also this, as the EFF, we are thinking that we should create a special economic zone, of which it should be across the province, that will create job opportunities to young people, to each and everyone who's unemployed.
Looking at other special economic zones and nodes that have been created across the country, how successful have those been, and why do you think that that would be the solution here?
The problem about the implementation of the strategy in which these economic zones are being taken forward, the priority is not being given to the poor, marginalized and the oppressed. And this is because of the administration or the officials that we put in positions. Those who are not going only to focus on their factions, those who are only to self-enrich, and also forget about the rest, the electorates who elect them into power.
Okay, you touch on the youth issue. So, you know, there is the school of thought that says if the youth do not register to vote, it is because you as the political parties have failed to actually get them to register collectively. So if you are concerned about the youth, what percentage of youth are registered to vote in this province?
In this province, I would clearly say we are having a challenge of youth coming forward to register because they have lost hope on what the current dispensation is. And now we are trying so hard to convince the youth to be part of these elections. But the fact is, as the EFF, we have been having our drive moving around the province, encouraging young people to vote, and also they are coming forward.
But we are literally a couple, and I mean a couple of weeks away from the general election on May the 8th. And I'm asking you, I would have thought that by now, all of you would have taken a look at how, you know, the odds stack up for your various parties. So as a party that would be going after the youth vote, one would imagine, you don't know how many youth are registered to vote in this province?
I won't say I don't know exactly. But for the fact, what we know is, you look at the EFF. The EFF is youth-driven movement. And most of our leaders in our structures, I can tell you that the youth is participating, but I won't give you the exact percentage of how much.
Okay, I can tell you it's very low, and that is an indictment on all of you. I just don't want to let it out right now, because the thing is, we come to election debates, we are speaking to the nation, we are speaking to the people of the Northern Cape, but it would seem that we are here to just pay lip service and bring more rhetoric to the people. But let me move on to the Congress of the People. COPE, issues of inequality, unemployment, poverty. What is COPE's solution to the problem? COPE.
The issue of unemployment and the issue of poverty.
Shall we give the lady a chance to have her say, please? Please continue.
The issue of unemployment and the issue of poverty is very, very high in our province. And I, for one, I do not rely on statistics which were developed somewhere in an office. I see it every day. I experience it every day. I have experienced it. I am staying with my kids who are unemployed even though they are qualified. So that is why I'm saying I experience it every day. We go throughout the province and we look at issues of unemployment. I am sure as we are talking now, most of the people who are making noise here are EPWP people who are not even employed. But when they do door to door, they tell you that they are going to give you a job whilst they are EPWP people who are not employed. So COPE is saying we need a fresh start, to start all over again, to go back to basics, to ensure that the people of this province, which is very, very rich in minerals, benefit from what is happening in this province. Thank you.
So, I may have missed it, but what's the solution?
The solution is the issue of education. Most of the people here in the province are not educated enough, and also the issue of skills, the skills which are needed for this particular province. So we need a fresh start to do the skills and to ensure that the youth does it.
But the problem is, by your own admission, because you started off by telling us that your children are qualified and they are unemployed. So, in that context, how is that going to be the solution?
The thing is, the children who are qualified, I am sure you always see them on social media, standing at polls showing the people their qualifications. It is because of the governing party which is employing cadres who are not even qualified.
All right, again.
Now, whether the Cope government, people who are qualified will be appointed to serve in those particular jobs which they are qualified for.
Okay, again, the problem is I'm not actually hearing. You say there will be a solution, but I'm not actually hearing that solution. If please, if you could just bear with us, because the panel is actually struggling to hear. So I'm not hearing the solution. So if I said to you, in practical terms, if you took over and you were the leading party in government tomorrow, what would you do? Give me the first two things you would do in this province to create jobs.
The first two things we will do as the Congress of the People is to appoint people who are qualified for the job. Those who are not qualified will go through a particular training to ensure that they qualify too, so that they can be employable.
Ms. Mukharosi, the problem is we're talking about jobs that don't exist, and you are talking about appointing people to those jobs. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to move on.
No,
Let's go to
can I just
Khoisan
explain?
Revolution. No, it's okay. We go to Khoisan Revolution. You know, as the indigenous people, and especially giving expression in this particular province, let's find out what the Khoisan Revolution, what your issues are, and what is your take on what is going on in this province.
Bamba, Chaka, Kwenkia, Madisa. You know, it's easy to blame each other here. But what are we going to do about it? We're speaking English. It's because of the English that we're in this mess today. Let me start with this thing is, you know, in Platfontein, we have got a late leader called Domini Mario Mahongo. He died without a house, and it's very sad. He was a traditional leader. I acknowledge the current leader, Sabao, but Domini died without a house as a leader of this community. For us, we've been moved from Platfontein, so from Smithsdrift to Platfontein. Among Smithsdrift was a lot of mines, and we've been put here, we've been dumped here, from mines to this area. So the problem is, it's very simple, Sakina. Give us our land back. If we have our land, we can have our own minings, our own minerals and everything. Because everybody, for all these parties here, for them it's about power, it's about minerals, especially in the Northern Cape. You look at Gamsberg. Stop the Guptas. Stop all these mining companies. Then give our land back. Irrespective of, now I'm talking about irrespective of the indigenous community. You see, we're sitting here, we can louder, we can shout here, but we are here to fight for our people. You see, respect goes a long way. And we as indigenous people, we respect people. Ja, ons ken het, ja, maar ons luister nie na dit nie. Sakina, look at these houses built here. None of these houses have got electricity in it. How can you build houses without electricity? That is the first thing. Secondly, you talk about what will we do?
Ma'am, I know it's very emotional, but can we just give them a chance to speak? You will have an opportunity to say all those things that you want to say. I promise.
You know, Sakina, if you're not staying here and you've been taxi into Platfontein, you don't know Platfontein. Here, the people of Platfontein, they are staying here. They're not being taxi into Platfontein. Our problem here is in Platfontein, the unemployment rate is 100%. There's nothing here. Nothing's happening here. Nothing. You cannot talk about the EPW project. I'm telling you, if this project, if all parties or even the government party is in charge here, they can, for example, if they can ask now the ruling party or any other opposition party, if there is 10 people or youth employed to this municipality or departments, there's none. That is the inequality we are facing as indigenous people in the Northern Cape. It's our province. We're living on the richest, in the richest province, around minerals and everything, but we remain the poor. We are beggars. In 1994, we vote for the ANC, we vote for freedom, but now in 2019, we have to vote for survival.
Let me ask you this question. You say, give us our land back. So let's just clarify that. What land are you talking about first and foremost? Secondly, there you are, you representing Khoisan Revolution. Next to you is Aboriginal Khoisan Party, and next to him is the Compatriots of South Africa. All indigenous people representation here. So are you all together in this? Because when you say give our land back, do you mean for all of you as a collective, or do you mean just for you as the Khoisan Revolution?
Politically we differ, but our aim and vision are the same. Our land. Where are you staying now? Where are you staying now? We're staying in Griqualand West, the land of the Griquas. If you go downwards to the land of the Korana, if you go to Bushman, you stay in the Bush. If you go to Namaqualand, you stay in the land of the Namaqualas. But how can we talk about a land? How can we talk about South Africa if we're not part of South Africa? We as Khoisan, we feel.
So who's not part of South Africa?
No, currently there's a bill before Parliament, the National Khoisan Leadership and Traditional Bill. For now, as we said, we are not recognized in Africa. There's a bill being tabled to recognize us. So how can the first people, the First Nations, not been recognized in their own country? We all voted for freedom, but how can we talk about freedom if we don't have freedom?
Okay, let's move on to the Aboriginal Khoisan Party. Give us your take.
Good morning, Shekinah. Good morning, Shekinah. Yeah, you are in the Northern Cape province. It's a shame for me to have listened to the previous speakers, especially those coming from the government for the past 25 years. All of them that has been there. The Northern Cape province is like a province, it's like a country on its own. If you look at the unemployment rate, the Northern Cape is, say, 72% dependent on SASA grants. And you can go, the latest issue, the Vedanta mine in Gamsberg that was launched 4 weeks ago. There's a lot of Taiwanese, and the directorship is coming from Gauteng, whilst the people of our province is suffering from Garis up to the furthest point in the Northern Cape. We really say, if the land is going to come back, let us recognize what is written in the history. When we got to this country in 1652 and earlier, the first people to have found was our Mama Sarah Bartman, because all leaders are referred to as mamas, but they claim it's Sarki, it's Mama Sarah. And then we have people like our Harry Strandloper. You know, it's a shame to see that we are sitting in a situation where we have developed we've developed legislation, plans like the Provincial Growth and Development Strategy that was developed in 1998. Where is it today? It is the same as with commissions that are there today. Marikana Commission, Life Esidimeni Commission, now lately the Zondo Commission. How many commissions must be established for us to recognize that people are suffering? You know, we are now sitting in Kimberley. It's a shame for me to look at the audience. Most of the audience that are making the biggest noise are not even from Platfontein. We are sitting in Kimberley. And there's a correctional facility, a correctional services facility that has been built, state of the art. It's even bigger and more beautiful than the Solplaiti University that looks like a primary school. Then we sit with the next thing, the mental hospital that was started 20 years ago. Up to today, there's nobody in that facility and nobody accounts. Where is accountability of our leaders? The same people that are sitting here today will be the people that will, after 3 months from the 8th of May, they will be the ones leading marches in their community, because they were brought here with expectation that will never be met.
So what will you do differently? Because there seems to be an outcry about a lack of accountability. What will you do differently? What would you do that others have not been able to do in terms of holding those who hold on to the levers of power accountable?
Okay, there are 2 accountability principles. Chapter 7 of the Constitution, accountability and consultation. You have to tell people if you cannot be in a position to deliver, but do not hold people ransom by telling them lies. If you look at the R31, it's linking internationally to Namibia, but the people that are driving those trucks are not even from the Northern Cape. The minerals that are leaving this province, no people are benefiting. If SASA can terminate grants today, we all will die.
So how are you going to hold them accountable? How are you going to hold those in power accountable? How are you going to better hold those in power accountable?
We will make sure that if we elect leaders in any position of government, if you do not account and if you do not consult, because that is the basic principle, then we will get rid of you and keep you accountable to constitutionally, because for now it's just lip service.
All right, let's hear from the compatriots of South Africa.
Konja, Karang si Baransa, Konja, Suid-Afrika, Goeiemôre, Marisa, my volk van Suid-Afrika. Ek sit hier as 'n inheemse volk van Suid-Afrika. Ek verteenwoordig Compatriots of South Africa. Ek sit nie hier as 'n skelm nie. Ek sit nie hier as 'n dief nie. Ek sit as 'n eer en 'n gedissiplineerde inheemse internasionale persoon. As u sien hoe die Bushman lewe op die aarde om haglike omstandighede, as jy sien hoe die Bushman swaar kry, die breinmense swaar kry om haglike omstandighede. Ek wil vir Suid-Afrika, ek wil nie die ANC sleg maak nie, DA of wat nie. Ek sit hier as 'n compatriot, as 'n nuwe baba. Ons wil vir ons mense veg. Ons wil vir ons jong mense se toekoms veg. Ons wil vir ons inheemse regte, konvensie 169 van die Verenigde Nasies veg, wat geïmplementeer is, wat nooit 'n toedraai maak in Suid-Afrika nie. Ons wil veg vir ons mense wat dood in Oos-Kaap, PE, deur bende geweld wat nie kan stopgesit word nie. Compatriot van Suid-Afrika wil 'n verskil maak, 'n bietjie verskil, daai klein bietjie verskil om aan ons mense se harte in te kry, om ons mense se omstandighede te verlig. So ek sit nie hier omdat ek hier sit nie. Ek sit hier as 'n eerste inheemse volk van Suid-Afrika, soos die leier nou vir my gesê het. Ek sit hier as 'n...
How are you going to do it? How are you going to change the circumstances, the conditions under which the people are living? What are you going to do for these young people who seem to be struggling with alcoholism and other related problems? How are you going to do it?
Compatriot of Suid-Afrika nodig die breinmense stem, nodig die swart mense stem, nodig die wit mense stem, om kan daardie verskil te maak, om daai verbetering, om ons huise te verbeter, om ons lewe te verbeter, om ons tradisie te verbeter. So ek sit vandag hier as om die omstandighede te verlig wat in Suid-Afrika aangaan.
But you're still not telling me how you're going to do it. Even if you're working with everybody else, hoe gaan jy dit doen? Hoe gaan jy dit regkry?
Dit deur middel van om daardie stem vir Compatriot of Suid-Afrika uit te bring, om daardie verskil te maak. Ek sit hier op nie alleen as om 'n verskil te maak nie. Ons almal wat 'n kruisie maak daardie groot verskil in iemand se lewe. Om 'n kruis te maak vir 5 sekondes, vir 5 jaar, om swaar te kry of om lekker te kry. Daardie stem wat jy uitbring is broodnodig om daardie verskille in iemand se lewe te verbeter.
Okay, PAC, the issues that we have been seeing, noticing, and that the people of this province need to contend with. What is your solution? Your solution to some of the issues that we've been discussing.
Isoletu, thank you for this opportunity I'm being given this morning. Ma-Africa, the situation in our province is sad. The alarming levels of unemployment are really unbelievable. First and foremost, I would like to honor our forebears, the children of our forebears, the Khwe and the San. Ma-Africa, there is no reason for African people to struggle, to suffer, to be unemployed in their land, in the land of their birth. When we consider the riches, the God-given riches that we have in our land, from a British economist, Martin Hulacott, who analyzed and researched our economy. He said that we are, as the Northern Cape, we are the richest province in mineral resources. There is no reason for us to be unemployed because the riches from these mineral resources are able to fend for every one of us.
But the reality is that the people are unemployed. The people are poor. So what now?
Yes, the reality is that the people are unemployed, the people are poor because of mismanagement of these resources. As PAC, we say to our people today, we will restore the land back to its rightful owners. Because in the land is where your life is. In the land is where our riches are. In the land is where we hold our traditions, our customs, our cultures. There is no need and no reason for the African people, especially in this province, to be awarded social grants. That is a sign of beggary, that is a sign of slavery, that is a sign of undermining our people. Our people, they deserve much better than what they are given in the form of social grants.
Okay.
The PAC says, every one of us in this province must be allowed to tap into the riches of this land, because the riches of this land belong to every one of us, irrespective of political affiliation.
All right. I hear you, PAC, and there's quite a bit that I'd like to unpack there, but we'll come back to it. Freedom Front Plus.
Thank you. I think the problem in South Africa is that the country isn't properly decolonialized. And it has two aspects to it. The one is cultural, the other one is political and social. Politically and socially, the governing party decided to tackle poverty by taking away people's dignity, by not creating jobs, but rather pursuing a policy which runs down the economy, and then try to compensate people with EPWP jobs which are temporary, and with SASA grants which are unsustainable. Because in the long run, what the country needs is taxpayers, not grant receivers.
So how would you turn that situation around?
The first step,
and addressing the question of the dignity of the people as well.
The first step would be to do away with affirmative action and with black economic empowerment, because only a very small portion of the black community is actually empowered by these policies.
Okay.
So when we have economic growth and people have jobs, then their dignity is restored. And then we can look at land reform, we can look at all these things on the one condition that all people in South Africa are recognized as legitimate inhabitants of this country, and that none are regarded as, from the starting point, calling people names like land thieves, or the original sin of South Africa is land ownership in the hands of Afrikaners. We, as African people, share in this country, and we can contribute towards job creation, which will restore the dignity of people.
Given the history of this nation, when you say we should do away with affirmative action, we should do away with black economic empowerment, why should we do away with it? Should we not just see that it is better implemented? Because if you say do away with it, are you suggesting that there's no need for redress in this country?
Indeed, I would agree that we need to develop all our people. In other developing countries, governments have large programs to attract knowledge, to attract people with the necessary skills. South Africa might be the only country where inhabitants of the land are alienated in such a way that they'd rather choose to go to Canada or Australia or wherever where their skills are actually recognized and valued.
Well, the reality is that is for those who can afford to go to Australia and can afford to go to Canada. Most people in this country can't. But my question was about redress. Is there a need for redress in South Africa?
It is necessary that we have our economy growing, and that people who are currently poor should be empowered by it, and poverty is something which is not racially lined. It's not you know, the
Are you saying
myth
that with all
created by
seriousness
President
in South
Mbeki
Africa, with our past?
I beg your pardon?
Are you honestly saying that in South Africa, with our racially divided and skewed past, are you really saying that that has no impact on the poverty and trends in poverty that we are seeing today?
I would indeed say that you have today a large and growing middle class, which is black, and you also have a lot of white poverty, which is developing exactly as a result of the policy of black economic empowerment.
But it's not a
which
contest
is actually
about
an elite
whether there are more
empowerment.
poor white people, poor black. It's not a contest. It's about addressing the issues that need addressing.
Yes, therefore poverty has to be redressed.
All right, we'll come back to all of it. I want to hear from AZAPO before we go to a break.
Thank you very much. I hope my voice does not desert me. One thing I'd like to ask is that our audience
should be a good audience. We are here to exchange ideas, not to howl, to interact with ideas. So I ask that we should respect whatever views are being expressed, even if we differ with them.
Appreciate that. Now, let's get into the issues. The issues that we've touched on, several, maybe there are others you'd like to highlight as well.
Yes. Again, thank you for the invitation. The Azanian People's Organization is an organization that was formed by the black people of this country, and it arose out of the material conditions in which the black people found themselves in this country, or conditions of oppression, conditions of dispossession, and on the basis of race, of course. But for AZAPO to deal with the situation, AZAPO realized that the land is a pivotal issue. And that is why AZAPO did not contest the very, very first elections of 1994 out of protest, because the land issue was not put number one on the list in the CODESA negotiations. But be that as it may, AZAPO has been formed as an organization of the black people in this country to deal with their situation of oppression. So the land issue remains a pivotal issue, and we know that with the land we can solve the problems of our people.
All right, and okay, so it's easy to say the land question is going to solve the issues of the people, but how exactly is that going to happen?
Yes, let me explain. It is just that I'm not used to the interruptions that one is getting from the floor. But you
please
know,
continue, please speak.
Yeah, the land has the resources. If we have to take a program whereby we can say, like very much like the Marshall Plan, where we empower our people with land, our people will be able to farm, to conduct subsistence farming. We put our people, those who are willing to farm the land, those who are willing to mine the land, we put them along the rivers of this country for them to farm, whether with grapes or with whatever crop farming or stock farming. But as you can see, the Boers, the white people are all over South Africa. And you can travel from here to Namakwa or to Springbok. You'll see the white farmers with their lambs, Karoo lambs or whatever. They will be farming and making a living out of the land. So we black people, before apartheid, we were farmers. We were plowing the land. So we want our people to get back the land so that it can live off the land.
Okay, that concludes this first segment where we've heard from all the political parties. We're going to take a break, and when we come back to Platfontein, we're going to open it up to the community that's represented here this morning, and we're going to take questions from them to the panel that is seated here. But for now, back to studio.